Um, we're going to talk a little bit about taper tension. Basically, the most important thing about taper tension, I get a lot of people who confuse taper tension with the fact that you are, in essence, tapering off the torque off of an unwind to keep tension constant. Now, that's not taper tension. So don't confuse by decreasing torque off of an unwind going into your process. Don't confuse that with taper tension. That is not taper tension. Unwind zones never have taper tension, and internal zones never have taper tension. A rewind zone in your machine should always have at least the capability to have taper tension. You may not need it. You may rewind under constant tension, but you should always have that capability built into your machine, because you may want to be able to run taper tension at some time. And the reason you want taper tension is what it does is you're actually, as the rewind roll is getting larger, you're decreasing tension on the web to relieve compressive forces that'll be built into the rewind. If you try a lot of materials, not all materials, but a lot of materials, if you try to wind them with constant tension onto the rewind, you can get wrinkling and starring and even crushed cores, because basically a rewound roll is like a big clock spring. Every time you make a wrap onto the rewind, you're building compressive forces against the core all the way down at the core, and that can cause a lot of defects in your rewound roll. So taper tension, what it does is, as the roll is getting larger, it literally decreases the tension amount as the roll's building, so that you don't have as much compressive forces pushing down on that core, and you can relieve a lot of the wrinkling and the starring and the crushed core problems. And taper tension is generally set as a percentage of total tension setting. And as a general rule of thumb, taper tension will decrease tension linearly as the roll gets larger. So as an example, if you have a roll with a 10-to-1 ratio build like we were talking about earlier, instead of increasing torque at a 10-to-1 ratio to have constant tension at the rewind, instead of increasing torque at a 10-to-1 ratio, you may increase torque at maybe, let's say, a 5-to-1 ratio. So in essence, you would wind up at the outside of the roll with half the tension that you had at the core. And that taper effect can help you with a lot of defects that you may have at your rewind.